welcome to another episode of Yahweh's Perspective. And today I have with me Flourish.
Hello.
Flourish, why are you acting so like? Today we're going to be talking about grief. And just so you know, I'm the most awkward person when it comes to this kind of topic because yeah. I try to imagine how someone feels, but I can't put myself in that place. So I always tend to like stay away. But now this is my first time having a conversation about someone, like grieving about something.
Mm-hmm.
So this is good. I might be the one crying more than she is. So everybody should just, okay. But yeah, we're going to do this.
I think I'll start with the premise of, I understand your awkwardness. Honestly, where I would say in Nigerian society and also Canadian, a lot of places people don't know how to talk about grief. Yeah. So it's a very awkward conversation, both for the person that is going through it and also the person trying to console someone. And I've been on both sides, so I understand, like, it's fine. Even me, I feel like I'm going to be a little quirky trying to, like, deal with the situation. Yeah. But it's all it is. The biggest grief I went through was losing my younger brother. That would be almost 3 years ago now. 2018. Ooh, my God, it's 4 years. I just did the math. Yeah, he died in 2018. Yeah, so it was like a long journey. He has a twin, so his name is Faith. He has a twin named Favor, and from a young age they were both had issues with hearing, so they always had like health things here and there, so it was hard for them to start talking and all that kind of stuff. So our family just started to deal with that from their young age. But then they noticed something was different with Faith compared to Favor, and so they found a tumor in his brain when he was 4. So that was his first cancer, and it was very hard. I was 9 at the time, the oldest. My parents were just going through a lot, and we were in the US then, so that was very hard, and I was in the dark for a lot of things because, of course, I was a child. My parents were trying to protect us and all that kind of stuff. So Faith wasn't here, then he was back, but he looked different. He had gone through chemo, he had gone through surgery, and all of those things impacted his learning ability because, chemo isn't a fail-safe. It kills good cells and bad cells. And if you're talking about the brain, that affects a lot of things. So, having to deal with the repercussions of that led to years of him struggling compared to his twin with a lot of things, especially academically. And being the oldest meant having to support him in a lot of ways. And so I think all of that built a strong bond between us. And I think when I was at least, I would say 13 or 14, I remember praying to God because every year we do a checkup because anyone who's in cancer, you're in remission. That means you're cured, right? Yeah. So they always make sure you do an MRI to be like, okay, woo, 5 years cured, 10 years cured, just to be like, woo, everything's still good. Yeah. And so around those times, especially still Faith dealing with the struggles, I was like, okay, God, like we're dealing with a lot even past this one cancer, please. Don't let anything happen to this brother. Like, please, God. Like, I really, really, I don't know if I'll be able to trust you again if this happens. Like, this is the person you cannot touch. Touch anybody else. It was a strong prayer because I lost a cousin to cancer too, and he was one of my close cousins. So cancer has really battered and bruised my family in many ways.
Wait, I want to ask a question. You said you were in the dark for like so long.
Yeah.
Like, so when did you know that this was happening to you?
The thing is, it's like I was always a nosy kid, so I heard conversations more than my parents told me a lot of things. So it was a thing of most of what I learned about my brother's first cancer was because I was in the room when my parents were talking to older people. Okay. So it was kind of like my parents tried to explain it in a different way. Oh, your brother is just sick. He's gonna stay in the hospital for a little bit, but he's okay. Nothing's happening. Like, just focus on school, focus on other things. But like we were pretty aware that, okay, something like drastic is happening.
Yeah.
And then him coming back home, it was a lot of be careful with your brother, be careful with your brother. So we saw stitches at the back of his head, we saw all those type of things, but it was always like tiptoeing around the matter rather than it being like straightforward, like, okay, this is exactly the cancer he had, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I get it, right? Like,
Yeah.
if everyone is less than 9,
Yeah.
it's like,
yeah.
how much are you going to tell your children that
For them
one
to
of their
understand.
siblings is going through this like traumatic
Yeah.
thing, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think with all of that, yeah, I was just about finishing high school, and Faith had been complaining about his back. He was just like, this, that, but it was kind of like, okay. And I was dealing with my own thing then of just like, okay, I figured I wanted to leave the province to go to school, and I was like, okay, what does that mean? There was a lot of transition gonna happen that year. And then the first inkling that something was wrong was Faith got a checkup. They always do a lot of diagnostics with him because of his history.
Yeah.
So, and my dad got the news first, but he didn't tell anyone. All we saw from my dad was he got a phone call from the doctor. He went into the washroom in our house, locked the door, and wailed. And the wailing was loud enough that all of us could hear it. But we were like, Daddy, what's wrong? Daddy, what's wrong? He locked the door. He wouldn't open it. And he just wailed. And the thing with my dad is he's not as emotional. Like, I've seen him cry enough times to know my father is a human being. But for him to, like, cry like that,
much, yeah.
that was heartbreaking. Because I just wanted to break down the door and be like, Daddy, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? But yeah, later on, it was just like definitely more tests, more this, more that. So found out that, yeah, he had cancer in his spine, and it was bone cancer. And it was all linked some way, somehow. The way my dad rationalizes, I don't know if this is 100% true, but the treatment they gave my brother was very experimental when he was younger. And it had to do with putting a lot of chemicals through his spine to get to his brain. And somehow that had led to another growth. And the thing with bone cancer is the way you heal bone cancer is you take out the bone.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But you can't take out a spine bone.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, okay, what does this mean? Yeah, it was heart-wrenching because Faith was like, he always had a lot of things he dreamed of and wanting to do. And I remember specifically him always saying, I wanted to play baseball. I really wanted to play baseball. And he was like always the awkward kid because of a lot that he went through. So it was always like, oh yes, like we'll get that. You'll be able to. And just seeing how cancer stripped a lot from him, it was painful to not be able to see all those dreams come to life. It was really sad. So I had made up my mind. I'm like, what is school? What is university? Please, people, this is a crisis. And I told my parents straight up, I'm like, I need to know what is happening. I am not a child anymore, and I need to be able to help and support.
How old were you then?
I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was literally a 10-year gap between his first cancer and his second. So, yeah, so it was like, okay, what does this mean? What do we do? A lot of things were just there, like, we'll try everything. We'll start with chemo. We'll start with this. We'll start with that. So that summer between going to university and finishing high school, I would sleep in the hospital with Faith while he went through his first round of chemo. And yeah, it makes someone weak. It makes them agitated. It's all of the worst things all in one. And he kept asking why. Oh, and that's the one question you can't answer. Yeah. Why? Like, why would cancer choose you? Why would cancer choose you not once but twice?
Yeah.
Why would... And so, mind you, he's still just a preteen 12 then. So it's like, all my friends are doing things, but I'm here in the hospital wondering, like, when can I leave? I don't understand what's going on. And so it was painful in a lot of ways to see that. And yeah, when I told my parents, like, I don't want to go to school, like, I can take a year off, yo, this is important. They're like, no. Focus on your education. Typical Nigerian parents. For my 19th birthday, my brother wrote me a card. I still have it on my memo board. He's like, oh, Flourish, I'm really proud of you. You're a great sister. Please don't go back to Burnaby.
He told you not to go back? Okay. I was not going to cry.
I'm gonna cry too.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That was the hardest thing to read. Because it's like, you know that you're needed, but you also understand how delicate the situation is. And I felt like a part of me, my faith was kind of like, okay, God, you already messed up the prayer. I asked you not to touch this boy. Okay, fine. This is the case. But now, if I stay, am I assuming that he won't live long enough for me to see him again? Or if I go, am I not being supportive and helping him in the situation? It's like, what is the exercise of faith here? What is the exercise of what it means to walk with God in this, but also help my family?
Yeah.
I had called him the day before, 2 days, and I was like, how are you doing? And he said, I'm in pain. I think those were the last words he said to me, because by the morning time, all he could do was breathe. And that was so painful, because I could see in his eyes he wanted to tell me things. So sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh god. And all he could do was breathe. And I just kept saying, I'm sorry. Because literally it was like a 1.5 year journey, and I missed literally almost a whole year of it with the chunks of school that I did. Yeah. And so I just felt like I really abandoned him in the time that he needed me. And so I was like, okay, you know what, if you can't talk to me, you know what, I'll accept that fact, but at least let's do things you like. And so I was like, okay, we'll get the boys, because Favor was still in, like, his twin was still in school, and Sam, they had to pick our middle brother up. So my mom was like, okay, your dad will stay with the boys, because I had been crying and crying. She's like, okay, take a break, let's go out. And not knowing that would be the last time I'll see him alive. So my dad stayed with him, and he told us that, yeah, like, Faith took one more inhale and that was it. So we get back. I had already, like, okay, I'm gonna put this DVD on. The boys are here. Everyone is here. Don't worry. Like, whoever doesn't, like, because there were different people that were visiting us. I was like, I don't care about them. This is family time. We're gonna enjoy it. I don't know how much longer you have, but at least let me spend more time with you. And there were so many people there. I was confused. I think my mom went into the room first, and she's like, what's going on? And then when she realized, she screamed. And she just kept saying, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And I was like, no, this can't be. Like, it just added insult upon injury of just like, what did I do wrong? Like, all I wanted was more hours. Yeah. Like, I didn't care if he couldn't talk. I didn't care about any of those things. I just wanted more time.